Hi everybody, it's Daphne here with another art demo video. If you're new to my channel, I am the artist of the furry fantasy adventure comic Tall Tales, now available online at www.talltalesonline.com, with Tales spelled T-A-I-L-S. The first story arc, Thieves' Quest, is also available at my website in a complete trade paperback collection containing all 20 issues in one volume. I am currently at work on the second story arc of the series called Tall Tales, Tears of the Mother. It's scheduled to be an 8-issue arc, and we will be printing individual issues as well as a collected trade once it's completed. In this art demo video, not only am I demonstrating how I work on my comic book pages, but I will also be using these demos to start a new commentary series called Making Comics, or at least how I make my comics. Every time I'm at a comic book convention, I'm always being asked, what's the best way to get into making comics? Unlike that simple question, the actual answer is a lot more involved. Since I don't want to make a 3-hour video, I'll just break up the answers in some hopefully bite-sized pieces that will be easier for everyone to understand and absorb. I already have a list of topics I want to cover in future videos, but feel free to comment down below with questions of your own that I'll get to in more detail on those future videos. So with that, let's get started on part 1, scheduling your comic. That topic may seem like I'm jumping ahead somewhere, but this was a lesson hard learned for me. When I started doing Tall Tales, I had all the enthusiasm of a novice comic artist who thought I would be able to just jump right in and swim with the pros. Why, sure, I could get a page a day done. We could easily do a comic a month, no problem. As they say, these are famous last words. In fact, not only was I not able to do a page a day, so much of real life kept getting in the way, whether it was work, school, or family obligations. You know what happened with that issue a month? It came out to more like an issue a year. It obviously took way longer than I had anticipated. Recently, out of curiosity, I tried adding up all the comic pages I have done over the years. Not all of them Tall Tales related, since I did other comic shorts as well. The rough estimate came out to approximately 850 pages of comic book work. Divided by the length of time since I started, this averaged out to be approximately 1 page every 9 days. Oh, that's not too bad, right? That actually sounds like a somewhat decent schedule, until you realize that 850 pages took 20 years to complete. Not so good after all. This is what happens when you draw comics without a schedule and no sense of urgency for deadlines. And if you want to make comics on a regular basis, scheduling yourself is the first skill you have to master. So when I started on Tall Tales, Tears of the Mother, I decided that not only was I going to not take another 20 years to get the rest of the series done, I was going to put myself on a schedule. Now remember, I'm talking about how I do my comics. Your individual experience will be different once you start, but the whole point of this series is to give you a starting point to work from and change as necessary if you need to, not a checklist of you must do this like this. First, I decided how many pages each issue was going to be. In this case, 32 pages for each of 8 issues. Then I had to figure out, and this is important, a realistic timeline to lay out, draw, and ink those pages to completion. And mind you, this does not count lettering and putting the digital files together. It was important for me to figure out the schedule for the actual artwork first, then I could schedule in the rest. As a self-publisher creator, I have the luxury of not having my deadlines set for me by a company, but that doesn't mean I have the luxury of finishing the art when I feel like it. That's how I ended up with an issue a year, remember? My first hurdle is that I'm not a planner person. I just never got into writing things in a notebook and following checklists and work logs like a lot of other more seemingly organized creators. I'm the type that I need to see my schedule in plain view in front of me at all times. If it's in a book, it's easy to just close it and put it away and to forget about it. So what I did was get a little white board and did a little math. Sure, I could in theory do a page a day, and I have. But what I ended up getting at the end was subpar artwork that I really shouldn't have been doing. This is my art with my name on it. Now, fair warning, I'm not saying you should wait until your art is perfect, because that never happens. But don't hack out your work either. I decided that a more realistic schedule for me was 1 day for layouts, 1 day for penciling, and 1 day for inking, which would give me about 2 pages a week. I printed out a custom calendar and marked my pages with this schedule, giving me 4 months for 1 issue, this time including 1 week for lettering and 1 week for digital setup. I figured that 2 pages should be the minimum I should be accomplishing per week, and I should always strive to be ahead of schedule as much as I could, without rushing and hacking. I'll insert a picture of my calendar whiteboard setup here. I made sure the calendar and whiteboard with the schedule written out was hung up by my drawing table and computer so I could see it all the time. No hiding in books, no hiding in drawers. Now, this is where laying out your issue ahead of time becomes really important, but I'm going to have a separate video for that. But the short version is that by laying out your comic first, and by that I mean doing a really rough version of your comic pages so you know where everything's going to go and flow, you get to see how it works in the schedule. What I noticed was that I had a lot of so-called easy pages I could work on first. Pages with mostly headshots or no backgrounds and simple splash pages. It's not against the law to work on your comic pages out of order, so for the sake of my schedule, that's exactly what I did. By doing these easy pages first, I created a snowball effect in which I was able to get ahead of my schedule very quickly. Instead of 2 pages a week, I was able to get 3 or 4 pages done. Not only was I ahead, but I was able to give that extra time to the harder pages that I knew I had to get to later. Pages with complicated backgrounds or scenes that I couldn't and shouldn't rush through. As I completed a page, I marked the date on the calendar with a green check and with a red check for every day a page wasn't completed. The idea was to visually keep the green checks close together, but at minimum there had to be 2 green checks per week. If a check was missing, I had to make sure to get the work done to get my green check where it needed to be. Now, if you're familiar with my Patreon, a link I will provide to you below, you would already know that I was able to finish inking the first issue of Tears of the Mother with 51 days left before my 4-month deadline. Sidebar: Patreon is the only place where you can see my finished pages before they're printed officially. But I still need to letter and set up the final print file before my July 1st deadline. However, I'm so ahead, what I'm doing now is laying out the next issue so that when July 1st rolls around, I already know what pages to get ahead on and start the 4-month cycle all over again. So for me, this 4-month schedule is really working. Of course, I would like to be able to shrink that schedule more. Shorter schedules mean more finished comics. But I think that will come with more practice, so to speak. The more I train myself to work on a schedule, the easier it will become later to shorten the deadlines and get more books out. Now, here's the rub. This only works if you seriously make the effort to respect the deadline. If you're self-publishing, this is crucial. No one is going to care or push you to finish your work harder than you. Right now, I have a mini deadline of finishing my issue 2 layouts by Saturday, which is in 3 days from when I'm recording this. That way, when Monday rolls around, I will be already started on lettering the book, which I'm only giving myself a week to complete. And I still have to color the cover, which will also be another video in itself. And you thought getting ahead of schedule meant more time to goof off, right? Ha, no. But not for nothing. Being ahead of schedule does mean if you need a rest day or if you need to do something else for a bit, you can afford to. So it's not always about the grind. There's something nice about not having to rush through your work at the last minute and putting out the best work you can. But keep the work moving. You don't want to completely lose your comic making momentum. So I hope you found this video interesting and informative. If you want to see more art demo videos like this, don't forget to click the like button and subscribe. If you have any questions or any ideas for future videos, feel free to leave a comment below. If you want more information about Tall Tales or any of my other artwork, including how to commission your own custom art from me, links are also listed down below. Thank you again for your support, and I hope to see you on the next video. Bye! In this case, I would think that these guys, the Cordier brothers, they have been in the city for a while, and they have adapted somewhat into this into the city setting.